Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're diving into a topic that, let's be real, we probably all think about, like, way more than we'd like to admit. Emergency funds, that whole be prepared thing.
Right, because life, as they say, rarely goes as planned.
Exactly. So we're going deeper than just the basics here, right? We're talking about not just having an emergency fund, but making it work for you.
Yeah, it's like that money, even though it's there for, just in case, it doesn't have to just sit around. There are smart ways to kind of make it grow while it's waiting.
Okay, so let's set the scene. You're driving along, everything's fine and dandy, and then boom, car decides to throw a rod. You're looking at like a $2,000 repair bill out of nowhere.
And I'm betting most people, they haven't budgeted for that.
You're telling me a bunch of research we found shows that like almost half of us would be in a real tough spot if we had to cover a surprise expense like that.
That's a scary thought. It's not just about the cost itself either. It's the stress, maybe going into debt that just spirals from there. An emergency fund, it's like that safety net that prevents all that. It's peace of mind.
Totally. There's actually a great story in this article we're looking at. Someone was in a similar situation, car trouble, but they had an emergency fund. Not only did it cover the repair, but it actually saved them a ton of money because they didn't have to do a payday loan or rack up credit card debt.
Yeah.
Wild, right?
Huge difference. That's being proactive with your money. Okay, but how much are we talking here? Because the big question is always, how much is enough in that emergency fund?
Right, because you see these articles saying 3 to 6 months of living expenses, and it's like, whoa, hold on a minute.
It does sound like a lot,
Yeah.
especially if you're just starting out. The key is don't get overwhelmed. It's not about having it all at once.
So baby steps.
Exactly.
Yep.
Even $50, $100 a month, consistently it adds up. The habit, that's the important part to build first.
Okay, I'm all about baby steps. But how do we make it, like, actually happen? I know I'm guilty of saying I'll put money aside and then life gets in the way.
It's so easy to let things slide.
Yeah.
One helpful tip is to think of your emergency fund like a bill you have to pay.
Okay, like it's non-negotiable.
Exactly. Rent, utilities, emergency fund, all part of the monthly budget.
Makes sense, but what about actually remembering? I've started with good intentions before and totally forgotten to actually move the money.
Oh, I've been there. Honestly, automating it is a game changer. Setting up those automatic transfers.
Yeah, those are helpful.
Most banks make it super simple. Pick a day, maybe right after payday when you know you've got money, and boom, it's gone. Savings, here we come.
I like it. Out of sight, out of mind. Right. Speaking of finding the money, this article had some other smart tips for, like, freeing up cash without having to live like a monk.
Oh, for sure. One that's easy to overlook. Subscriptions, all those streaming services, those monthly things that add up.
Oh my gosh, yes. The streaming services are out of control.
Right. Do you really need all of them? Could that money be working harder in your emergency fund?
Seriously. I'm so bad at canceling them, even if I haven't watched in months.
It's about being intentional.
Right.
Where's your money going? Another thing the article mentioned, negotiating bills.
Wait, what? You can negotiate bills like cable and stuff.
Often, yeah. It's worth a shot. Call them up, explain you're trying to save, see what they can do.
No way, I had no idea. That's going on my to-do list this week. For people who are feeling super motivated, though, the article also talked about side hustles.
There are so many options now. Freelancing, driving, even just turning a hobby into a little side gig.
True, true. So we've got our plan to build the fund. We're being consistent, treating it like a must-pay bill, automating it, maybe even trying a side hustle. But we were going beyond just that, right?
Yeah.
Making the money work harder. What's the magic trick?
All right, so regular savings accounts, they're fine, but those interest rates are, well...
Yeah, they're not exactly going to make you rich.
And here's where we got to talk about inflation.
Inflation, everyone's favorite topic.
Right. But basically, your money today is going to be worth less tomorrow because everything keeps getting more expensive.
So my money is losing value if it's just sitting there.
Exactly. That's why we look at things like high-yield savings accounts.
High yield, meaning?
Way better interest rates. We're talking potentially a couple %, which is huge compared to those basic accounts.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a big difference. But we want this emergency money to be accessible, right? Not locked away somewhere.
Absolutely. And the good news is with high-yield accounts, you usually have that same flexibility. Deposit, withdraw, no problem. Just, interest rates might change a little over time, and some accounts have minimum balances.
So do your research. Got it. What about money market accounts? I think the article mentioned those too, right?
And CDs. Those are definitely options, but maybe not the best for your whole emergency fund, especially when you're starting out. Money market accounts are like savings accounts, but might have higher minimums. CDs, you lock your money away for a set time at a fixed rate. Good for some savings, but not if you need access right away.
So for emergencies, sounds like those high-yield savings accounts are the way to go. Good growth, easy to get at the cash if you need it.
Exactly, they strike that balance. But beyond just the where of saving, I think it's crucial to remember why we even build an emergency fund in the first place. It's not just about surviving, it's about giving you the power to make different choices in your life. What could you achieve if money worries weren't holding you back?
Whoa, okay. Getting philosophical now. I like it. But seriously, if you take money worries out of the picture, what's possible? It's kind of exciting to think about.
Right, like that dream job that maybe doesn't pay as much at first, but
Yeah.
you're passionate about it, you could actually take that leap.
Or I've always wanted to try starting my own business, but the what if it fails thing is terrifying.
Exactly. Having that financial cushion could mean actually taking those risks, pursuing those passions, because you've got your back covered.
Okay, I'm convinced this emergency fund is like, not just for emergencies, it's like a launch pad.
Totally. It's about empowerment, right? You're in control.
I am loving this conversation. We started kind of intimidated by this whole emergency fund thing, and now I'm like, let's do this.
That's what we want. Building this solid foundation, it's not about being restrictive. It's about opening up possibilities.
All right, so final takeaways, just to really drive it home. Number one, emergency fund, it's a priority, not a nice to have. We're treating it like that can't miss bill.
Yes. And small steps are okay. Don't feel like you have to do it all at once.
Consistency is key. Plus, we're automating things. Those automatic transfers are our new best friend.
And don't settle for those measly interest rates. Explore those high-yield options. Make your money work for you.
Right. Inflation is not our friend. Okay, last but not least, and this is the fun part, think about what this all means for you. What could you do? What would you try if you had that financial peace of mind? Let that be the motivation.
Love it. Figure out what you want and let your money help you get there.
This was amazing. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Remember, we're all in this together. Now go out there and build those emergency funds.